Okay, third grade. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all that rhythm knowledge that you have been working on the past few weeks, and we're going to start talking about how it is we actually put this stuff on paper. Okay? So down below this video, there is not only your quiz, but there's also a link for manuscript paper, okay? I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a second when I start to share my screen. But if you would like to participate in this next part, you are going to need to download that and possibly print it off if you have a way to print something off. If not, you can just get a regular piece of paper and just draw your lines to make it look like what I've got if you have no way to print that file off, okay? All right, let's dive in. Okay, so what I've got here is a website that you can go to. Here, let me move some of this out of our way so we can see what we're doing. Okay, this is saintanzi.org. Basically, I just typed in online rhythm builder game, and this is what came up. So notice here at the beginning, we've got 4 rests. So when you load it up and you allow the Adobe Flash player to run, this is what you get. You'll notice right now it's just 4 beats of rest. Just shh. Let's see if we can say that. 4 shhs. Ready, go. Shh, 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 shh. Exactly, just like that. All right, now here's what happens next. If I click on one of the rests, it changed it, didn't it? It sure did. So do we want to keep that a ta, or do we want to change that to something else? Yeah, I'm with you. Let's keep it a ta for right now. All right, let's see what we have next. I don't think I want a ta again. So let's choose, ooh, there we go. That'll work, okay? Now let's see. I think I don't want to keep beat 3 a rest. So I'm going to leave that one there. And then I'm going to change this beat. No. Oh, goodness. We haven't talked about what that is. So, okay. Yeah, let's keep it there. Okay. So far I've got a rhythm that says ta on my first beat, TT on the second beat, shh on my third beat, and then this guy, tika tika on my 4th beat. Okay, now when you do this on your own, just for practice, you can make those 4 beats whatever you want them to be. Now what I'd like to do is direct you over to, let me see if I can get this set here. There we go. This part of the screen. And you're going to notice that I have your staff paper. Now, your staff paper for when we're writing just rhythms, what you can do is just draw a line straight across, just one line, and then put this little box right here. Now, this is called a percussion clef. Now, when we were talking with Maestro Max the last week about what a measure is and a time signature, all of his music was on 5 lines and 4 spaces we called a staff. And at the beginning of the line, right before that time signature, we had a thing called a treble clef. Okay, but for our purposes, since we're writing just rhythm that's intended to be played on some kind of percussion instrument like a drum, and a percussion instrument is anything you hit, scrape, shake, or rub, but in our purposes, we're going to be doing this on a drum. We would just need 1 line just to make it easy with this little box there. Okay, so before I can take this rhythm here and put it on that paper there, I've got to prepare my manuscript paper. So my clef is already drawn in for me, so I don't have to do that. But what I do need is a time signature. And this tells me, remember what Max told us, this tells us how many beats are inside each of these measures so that we can put our bar lines to make the music look neater. Okay? All right, so first thing I'm going to do is see how many beats I've got down here. So let's count the beats. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 beats. So that means my top number is going to be a 4. Okay, and I'm noticing that you can't really see that well. So let me get a pen so we can see it better. Okay, I've got my pen, so I'm going to write in the number 4. Let's see. Yeah, we can see that much, much better. It stands out really, really good. Okay, now that I know how many beats I'm gonna have in the measure, I need to decide what gets the beat. Am I gonna have 4 long beats, or am I gonna have 4 just regular ta beats? Well, from the looks of this rhythm I've got over here, I want 4 regular ta beats. So below this 4 here, I'm going to draw my little upside down ta, just like Max had, okay? Now, what's great about this is when I'm creating a piece of music, I only have to put my time signature one time. I stick it here at the beginning of my song, and I don't have to write it anywhere else on the rest of the song, unless I want to change the number of beats per measure, which I don't. We want to keep it 4 beats per measure, so we're good. Okay, now what I need to do is take this rhythm here and transfer it over to this line here. Okay, you got your stuff ready? You got your paper? You got your pencil? All right, here we go. So I'm noticing my first beat over there, that guy is a ta. So when I draw my ta, first thing I'm gonna do is put my circle on the line like that. I'm gonna color it in really good. And then I'm gonna stick my line coming off the top. So now I've got my first beat, which is that ta over there, okay? Now I need beat number 2. So I'm looking over here, beat number 2, according to this chart, I've got a TT over there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a TT over here. So I'm gonna draw 2 circles this time. I'm gonna make them a little closer together because it's a TT, so I wanna make sure that they're there. And then I'm gonna draw a line here, and then I'm gonna connect my 2 lines, okay? All right, so now I've got ta, TT, just like what I've got over there. Awesome, but I'm not done yet. I still got 2 more beats right here that I need to add into my music. Okay, so let's take the next one. Let's see, I need to draw a sh. Now, I wanna show you 2 ways that you can do this. You can either draw, you know what, I'm gonna flip the paper over so I can show you this. You can either try and draw a sh based on what it actually looks like. Okay, let me turn this a little bit here. There we go. You can either draw a sh based on what it looks like. Okay, so a sh would be a line, another one, come down again, and then I'm going to make this hook coming off of it. That would be your basic 1 beat sh. Okay, or if you think that's a little too hard to draw, you can totally do this. Just make a Z. Okay, for our purposes, it means the same thing. So if this is a little too complicated, then you can just draw a Z if it's going to be easier for you. So let me show you this again. I draw a line here, put a smaller line, another, and then I draw a hook coming off the bottom. So it's almost like a sideways Z with this weird hook thing. But again, if that's too tricky, you can do that. So if you want to pause the video and practice turning your page over and drawing your shs, totally do that. So pause that now if you want to practice. Okay, let's move on. So now I got to go back to my music here. And so far I've got ta, TT. So what I'm going to do now is draw my sh. Now I'm going to draw a regular sh, but you're welcome to draw the Z if it's a little too tricky. All right, so I've got my line, smaller line, another line with a hook. Okay, notice that all my music is going through this line here. Everything that I'm drawing, I'm putting it right on top of my line so that that line goes through the middle of all my music notes. So make sure you're doing that. Don't write it above, don't write it below, don't write it upside down. You want to write it so that that is right through the middle. So if you've got that a little off and you want to fix it real quick, erase it and fix it, pause the video now. You're totally free to do that. Okay, let's move on. Now my last beat I've got right here below me, that's that tika tika, okay? So let me show you how we're gonna do that. Earlier my TT was 2, boom, connect. Now I've got 4 of these little things I need to do. So I'm gonna draw 4 circles and I'm gonna make them kind of sorta closer together because, you know, I've got this 4 sounds I gotta do. Then I'm gonna draw 1, 2, 3, 4 coming off the top. I'm not done yet. Okay, I'm a little bit taller here. And then one line across the top. Well, I'm still not done. I need 2 lines across the top. Okay, let me connect that real quick. That's really bad there. And so now I'm going to draw a second line across the top to give me that tika tika. So now, just like this pattern we got here, this pattern is ta, ti, ti, sh, tika tika. And now that's 1. This is beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. So now that I've got all 4 of these beats, I need to put my bar line. Because remember, we can only have 4 beats per measure before we have to start separating them out. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm just going to draw a line going through the music just like that. Does everybody see how I did that? Awesome. So that is our first measure. Fantastic. Yeah, looks good, doesn't it? I know yours looks just as good. If you need to fix that up a little bit because it doesn't look quite like mine, you are more than welcome to pause the video and fix it up if you want to, okay? But we're going to move on otherwise. Now, some of you may have drawn your music notes a little bit on the bigger side. That's okay. We all draw and write things differently. Goodness knows my handwriting is just horrendous, okay? But yours may be more beautiful and fluid, and sometimes you draw your little pictures a little bigger. Again, totally fine. So if you're taking about half the line for your measure and you've only got another more room for 1 more measure on this line, that's fine. I could probably fit 2. Some of you may write so small that you may be able to fit 4. Totally fine, okay? I'm going to show you what happens when we run out of room when we get there, okay? So everyone should still have room though. You should not be taking up the whole line with just 4 beats. You want to make sure you at least have 2 measures. You can take up about half, or you can fit 3, or you can fit 4, okay? I'm probably only going to be able to fit 2 more on this line before I have to move to that line, okay? All right, so what we want to do now, is come back over here and fix up our notes. So we've already done this rhythm pattern, so I want to change stuff a little bit. Okay, we change that to TT. I don't like any of these. No, oh, let's go to ta right there, okay? Definitely want to change that. You know what, let's do another TT, keep it simple. And then just for an interesting pattern, let's do a ta right there. Just to keep it nice and simple, okay? All right, so are you doing this with me? All right, here we go. So first beat I have over there, I've got to draw a TT. So let's put TT in. 2 circles, boom, boom, line. Fantastic. Got my first TT. All right, my second beat over there looks like a ta. So I'm going to draw my ta in. Awesome. Okay. Now my next beat, if you look over here, is another TT. So I'm going to do exactly what I did on my first beat. Okay. So now I've got TT, ta, TT, and this almost looks like 2 lines. I'm going to fill that in a little bit there. Okay. All right, and then my fourth beat that I've got right here looks like, well, it looks like a ta. So I'm going to draw my ta in. Okay. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. So now that I have 4 beats, what do I have to do? That's right, I have to draw a bar line. So I'm going to put this line here. Okay, awesome. Very, very cool. So now I'm going to do 2 more measures with you guys, and then I'm going to let you do some on your own. And I would love for you to send me some pictures, some screenshots of what you're working on, and I'll explain how you could do that in just a moment, okay? All right, so now we're going to move on. And let's see if we can create measure 3. So far I've started with a ta, and then I started with a TT. So let's click on our first beat and see what we can change to here. You know what? Let's be weird. Let's start with the tika tika, okay? All right, and then I'm gonna come over here and I wanna switch that. Let's switch that over to, you know what? Let's do a sha, that's fine. I don't know, you know what? Let's be crazy. Let's do another tika tika. How's that sound? Boom, another tika tika. Now, do we want to end with a ta or a tt? Ta or tt? Let's do a tt. All right, cool. All right, so now I've got to take that and put it on the paper over here, okay? So let's work on it. So my first beat looks like a tika tika. All right, so let's draw our tika tika. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember that tika tikas are 4 sounds on 1 beat, you guys, okay? Remember that. We talked about that over there in the first measure. Okay, now we got to put it in this measure. So I've got 4 dots that represent each beat of my sound, or each sound on my beat, my apologies. Then I got to draw my 4 lines coming off, 2 lines going across the top. Boom, I have a tika tika. And I'm going to go ahead and write this number in. That's my first beat. Done. All right, now for my second beat I have over here, it looks like I have a sh. All right, so let's see if we can draw our fancy little sh. If you can't, you can just draw your Z symbol we talked about. Boom. All right, still making sure that my line is going through the middle. Very, very cool. All right, and then my next one, I have another tika tika. So that means I need to draw 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, 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 up. Make sure they're kind of all even at the top here. And then connect 2 lines across the top. So, oh, I didn't write my numbers in. So now I've got 3 of my 4 beats. I need 1 more. And according to the looks of this, the last one is, that's right, it is a beat of TT. So I'm going to draw my TT in. Excellent. Fantastic. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering, well, I've run out of room on this line after I finished that second measure. I don't have room to put all that stuff. Well, you know what you can do? You can go ahead and draw that on this next line right here. Just draw it right there and then put your bar line at the end. For those of you who are able to fit those 3 into one line like I did, you would just put your bar line at the end normal. We always have to have a bar line at the end, even if there's no more room on the line. Okay, if you're one that still has room on this top line and you could fit a whole nother measure, that's totally cool. Just put this next measure at the end on that top line. But if you needed to move, that's fine. You could have put measure 3 here. And then if you ran out of room out like I did, I'm going to put measure 4 here. You can do that with me. Or if you still got some room, you can put it up there at the top. Now, there is one more thing I want to do before we start on this last measure I'm going to do with you guys, okay? Last thing I want to do is I want to number my measures. So if I'm practicing this song with a friend and I want them to do measure 3 again, I can say, okay, go find measure 3. With those measure numbers, they'll know exactly where to look, okay? So let me show you how we're going to do that. I'm going to come up above this first one here, and I'm going to write the number 1 right there. Does everybody see how I did that? Yep. Okay. Now, I'm going to put my pen on number 1. I'm going to not write on my paper. I'm just going to use the pen as a marker. And I'm going to move my pen over till I hit that bar line. Boom, I hit a bar line. Now I need to put number 2. Okay, so I'm going to put my pen on number 2. I'm going to scroll over. Boom, I hit another bar line. So that is 3. Now, if you ran out of room and you've only got measure 1 and measure 2 on this top line, and your third measure is over here, that's totally fine. You would just put the number 3 right there above that third measure, wherever it is on your paper, okay? That's why I recommend you use a pencil when you're doing this stuff so you can erase and make corrections if you need to. I'm using a pen so that you can see it on here a little better. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to create one more measure. Just need to create my 4th measure here, okay? So let's try that. So I've started with everything. This time, you know what I want to do? I want to start with a sh. We haven't started to measure with a sh yet. So let's do that. All right, so let's maybe, okay, let's do ta. Let's do Let's do TT here. Looks good to me. And I'm not using all these weird rhythms that we haven't talked about. That's totally fine. If you want to, when you do your own, you can. Just make sure to draw it exactly like it looks right here. But I'm just going to use the rhythms that we are familiar with. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to end it with a sh. I think that's kind of fun to start this one with a sh and end it with a sh. Okay, so now I got to come over to my paper now that I've got my fourth line. Now, some of you are putting your fourth line up here because you still have, I'm sorry, your fourth measure up here because you still have room. Some of you look like me and you only fit 3 and you're having to do number 4 over here. Totally fine. Some of you have put measures 1 and 2 across the top and your measure 3 is right here on the beginning of the second line. Totally fine, okay? All right, so let's jump into this. So my first beat is a sh. Boom, I've got my sh. I'm making sure it's going through the middle of my line here. My next beat is a ta, so I'm going to draw my circle, shade it in real good, put a line on it. So I've got beat 1, I've got beat 2. All right, and then my next one is going to be a TT. So I'm going to draw my 2, have my lines coming up and connected with 1 across the top, not 2, but 1 across the top. Got to remember that number 3. And then my fourth beat is another, oh, that one's not as good as my other ones I've been drawing, but that's okay. Boom. Okay, and now because I've got 4 beats, what do I have to draw? Yeah, that's right, your bar line. So I'm going to put my bar line here. Boom. I've got, oh, we almost forgot. I have to number my measures because this measure here is measure 4. All right, does everybody see how I did that? Cool. If you've got any questions about anything I did, please feel free to email me. Now, here's how you can show me what your music looks like. You can either continue on the page you were working on, or you can start over on a new page. What you can do is write your song. Don't fill up the whole page. Don't do that. Either start new and write 4 new ones, and only 4, or you can continue on what we were doing and draw 4 more measures. So you would have a total of 8, okay? Either way is fine. But what I'd like you to do is take a screenshot of it, and whether you printed out the paper that I provided or you created your own manuscript paper by drawing lines and little boxes, either way is fine. Just take a little picture of it, get your parent to take a picture of it, and email it to me at LHOLLIMAN@westernline.org. Okay, you can see the email address down here at the bottom of the screen. You can email me your picture of your music so we can see what it looks like, and it might share a few for people to see on my website. So speaking of which, now that the lesson is over for today, and we're going to continue with this kind of stuff next time, maybe talk about some of those other rhythms that we saw in our rhythm builder here. And if you look, you can maybe pause the video and write down this web address so that you can find this rhythm builder on your own. Totally fine. And what's really cool, you can even hit play and it'll play the rhythm for you. You can clear it out. It'll give you 4 res, or you can even click here and go to the Rhythm Writer game, which is probably what we're going to do next week after we fill in 8 more measures here, okay? But I need you to go take your quiz. You can see the link for the quiz in the description below this video if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching it on Schoology, you'll see the quiz embedded into the Schoology below this video. If you came to this from my website, you will see a link for that back on my website. However you get there, go take your quiz. Make sure to put your name on it. We've got some people who aren't putting their names on their quizzes, so I don't know who to give credit to, okay? So make sure you go and do that. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Bye.